What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for? With dialogue like that, is it any wonder why I love, loathe, and love to loathe the entire slasher genre and all its crazy subgenre glory? Slashers will never die, only the people who play the victims. Nevertheless, I'm John Rentham with the retro review of I Know What You Did Last Summer with Jennifer Love Hewitt, Ryan Felipe, Sarah Michelle Gellar, and Freddie Prinze Jr., and a host of others. It's a bunch of young, pretty people that end up doing something really, really bad and they have to pay for it a year later. So, yeah, if you're unfamiliar with I Know What You Did Last Summer, it's about, wait for it, dramatic pause, something bad that people did last summer. And then they are targeted by somebody that knows what they did last summer. Okay, as far as, well, concepts, it's not exactly that deep. This was directed by Jim Gillespie, who did 2005's Venom. No, not 2018's Venom. This was about some killer slash demonic weird creature that was in a swamp, and it made no goddamn noise at the box office. I remember seeing the advertisements, watching it years later, and thinking, this movie certainly existed, and it wasn't very good. Also written by Kevin Williamson, who's basically made a killing, ironically, in the slasher genre, writing the Scream movies, writing I Know What You Did Last Summer, and others. And Kevin Williamson is a pretty damn creative writer. I'm not saying all of his movies have been great, but he certainly has his finger on the pulse of how young people talk, and in the current age and everything. So speaking of current age, we have Freddie Prinze Jr., we have Sarah Michelle Gellar, we have Ryan Felipe, we have Jennifer Love Hewitt, as I said before, we have Anne Heche, we have Bridget Wilson Sampras, we have Muse Watson, who's the killer in the movie. Sorry, it is almost 25 years after this movie came out. I'm going to spoil everything. And Johnny Galecki, who was Darlene's boyfriend in Roseanne. He was also in The Big Bang Theory. Big Bang Theory fucking sucks. I'm just going to say that right here. Any of the Big Bang Theory fans that haven't been watching this, sorry, you can like it. I don't. So basically, Freddie Prinze Jr.'s character, Ray Bronson, who went down to Emmett's Fix-It shop to fix Emmett. Nobody that is not a deep diving Simpsons fan will get that. Julie and Ray are together, and Helen and Barry are together. Ryan Felipe's character is named Barry Cox. I promise you I reacted to that last name with the good taste and maturity you've all come to expect from me. And Sarah Michelle Gellar plays Helen, who is a bit, a bleach blonde girl with big, big dreams to make it in, well, New York in acting. And that doesn't necessarily work out. Spoiler alert. And her sister, Elsa, Elsa Shivers. I mean, I wonder if that was the name that inspired Frozen, because we decided to let it go. So, yeah, the four main people that are on the cover are partying. They had big dreams about what they're going to do after their summer is done. Julie's going off to college. Ray is not sure what he's going to do. He's worried he's going to lose his girlfriend. Barry and Helen are the jock and the high school prom queen. And, well, they end up running into somebody, literally, with their car. And then they dispose of the body. And then they swear they will never tell anybody. They're going to stop, not do this anymore. Well, then after that, Julie ends up getting a note saying, I know what you did last summer. Ooh. And then she has to find her friends that are now estranged, and she has to bring them together, and we have to figure out and solve this mystery to rewrite history. DuckTales, woohoo. One thing I want to note, the soundtrack is fucking tremendous. I listened to that goddamn thing on repeat. I had a cassette tape of it, and then I had a CD. Yes, I'm old enough to when I had cassette tapes of soundtracks along with CDs. Wore that tape out. Don't have it anymore. The Offspring, Typo Negative, who sung Summer Breeze with all the enthusiasm of somebody on about 12 amounts of Quaaludes. Kula Shaker, Hush, Hush. Thought you heard you calling my name now, Hush. Probably screwed up those lyrics. L7, because this ain't the summer of love and tonight we ride. Green Apple Quickstep, there is nothing ordinary when you're a kid, even though they all weren't kids. Funny how Jennifer Love Hewitt, I believe was 18 when this came out, and she was coming off a Party at 5. I think Party at 5 had ended by this point, or was about to end. Her, Nev Campbell, and Lacey Chabert pretty much got the launches from that. The guys, less so. I mean, Scott Wolf, I guess, sort of did. And the Den Pedals, who sung Waterfall, Soul Asylum, Toad the Wet Sprocket. A lot of bands that definitely qualified for 90s bands. Have Toad the Wet Sprocket done any, have they done any songs of note in, in the 2000s? I'd like to know because I genuinely don't know. But anyway, it is funny to note about the accident, though, when they ran into somebody because Ryan Felipe's character dumped alcohol all over Ray. Apparently, they were out there for minutes on end. I mean, like seemingly forever, actually, and no other cars went by. Apparently, there are way more roads to lead out of this fishing town in North Carolina. Very, very, very isolated North Carolina. And then we cut to a year later and all this stuff, yada yada. But I just find it funny how they overact about this. Like, what are we going to do? Julie's the only sensible one. Like, we should call the police. Maybe we could just take care of that. Granted, there wouldn't have been a goddamn movie if they had done that, but nevertheless. So she's panicked after getting this note. Her mother's wondering what happened to her daughter. Apparently her dad passed away at some point. What would your dad think? Nothing. He's dead, you twat. And Barry is his usual dickish self, and then we go to Johnny Galecki's character, Max, who saw them on the road, but didn't actually see what happened. He was just passing by. It's like, oh, you having car trouble? Because your car door's open while people are on a goddamn 2-lane road. And I'm not referring to 2-lane road at 2-lane University. Let's just ignore that, because I don't think anybody knows where 2-lane University is. And Barry basically berates him and threatens him with a fishing hook. Yeah, had to get that reference in well before Hook was even born. But nevertheless, what happens from there is basically a series of stalkings and murders and stuff like that. And it's not the most well-written movie. In fact, a lot of characters tend to really, really do the stupidest goddamn things possible. And Johnny Galecki's character gets a hook through the throat and gets, sent around a whole bunch of crabs. Man, he's got crabs this early on? My goodness. And then Julie and Helen, under assumed names, go to visit David Egan, who was the guy they killed. They think. They go to visit Anne Heche, who's David's sister. And through a series of investigations, they find out, maybe this actually isn't the person. But let's talk to Anne Heche more, because we got to justify her paycheck. Because, yes, Anne Heche actually had a career back in 1997. David's girlfriend died a year before, and David was felt guilt and committed suicide. It wasn't suicide, it was murder, but not by them. Ha-ha! Because otherwise it'd be a pretty boring plot, as opposed to what they end up doing. Helen, after Barry gets scared by, a game of chicken that doesn't go all that well because the fisherman somehow gets in his goddamn car. Helen gets her hair cut because the dad's so goddamn drunk, and apparently nobody possesses any ability to hear things. And Helen gets her hair cut during the night. He must have very good skills or whatever. I can barely concentrate on cutting my hair during the week. As you can plainly tell, it's getting out of control. Then Julie finds Max's body in the trunk, goes to get Barry and Helen, and within the few minutes it takes for her to just go down the road, because apparently you can just get to anybody's house by going down the road, the body's gone and no traces of crabs or anything or whatever. So I guess the Valtrex really worked. Wait, that was for herpes. Nevertheless, not that I would know that. I've only heard. So, what are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for? Just doing that and mugging for the camera. And then they research stuff. And then when July 4th is his day because it's the anniversary of his death. Then Where Did You Sleep Last Night? The original version was playing on Anne Heche's farm, isolated land. And it turns out that, oh no, it wasn't David. It was somebody else. It was Benjamin Willis, who's a fisherman. They accidentally hit him because he had killed David because Susie had died on that road. David blamed himself, and Ben's like, okay, you killed it's like my daughter got killed, prepare to die. Stop saying that. Helen then gets pursued by the Fisherman Hook guy after seeing Barry get killed, but the cops do no investigation, have no object permanence. The cop gets killed after going out to help some guy fix his car. It turns out to actually be the fisherman. Apparently the fisherman killed the driver and took and took over fixing the truck because he's a good Samaritan but feels like being a little murdery. Kills the cop. Helen kicks the police car window out with her high heel shoes, and then gets pursued, goes to her sister, Bridget Wilson Samfras, goes to her little makeup dive shop, and then Elsa gets killed because she can't let it go. She can't let it go. Doesn't want to hold the hook back anymore. And then Helen almost gets a safety, but stupidly turns around and then gets fish hooked, and literally gets fish hooked. And man, she gets put around a whole bunch of like spare tires that just happen to be over there. I feel like that death was such a retread. Now that everybody's shut off in protest because of the puns, this person, earlier Anne Heche's character mentioned a friend stopping by. Mentioned to Julie and Helen before Helen died. Some friend stopped by to pay his respects. His name was Billy Blue. So Ray is a fisherman and has a boat. I wonder what the boat says. It says Billy Blue. Oh no! It's Freddie Prinze Jr., the future WWE writer. Yes, believe it or not. For those who don't know, yes, he wrote for WWE. Don't know how, but he's a big fan. Nevertheless, she sees the boat, says Billy Blue. It was you! And then this fisherman stops him by just clotheslining him. Big old lariat, straight out of Stan Hansen's playbook. Non-wrestling fans have no idea what I'm talking about. And he takes her on the boat, but he's got a shrine dedicated to them and all the newspaper clippings. He's been keeping an eye on them. What? He's the guy that's been doing the killing. What? You kids should be out having fun, partying, running people over, getting away with murder, things like that. Benjamin Willis. Oh, I see you've done your homework too. And then Ray gets on board. Welcome aboard, Ray. So he just becomes a full-on ridiculous villain at this point. And Ray somehow hangs on to the ropes after getting knocked off the boat. She finds Helen's body stuck in the ice that doesn't look like ice. It looks like those, clear, colorful, shiny rocks that you would put in vases. In fact, that's exactly what it looked like. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was ice, but it did not look like ice. And then they team up and they manage to get the guy caught up in, they manage to get the fisherman caught in the hook and then get his hook hand cut off and it's stuck on the net and then he falls in the water. But they only catch the hook hand. They don't actually catch him. Don't worry, the body will turn up. A year later, because apparently we've gone 2 years later, this is the fucking Summer Olympics. Julie is taking a shower in college, about to go and see Ray in a couple weeks, and then somebody had wrote, I still know, very, very, creatively on the shower door, and then boom, he jumps out the door, and that implies a sequel that we get literally hacked out a bit later that I will be retro viewing at some point. Yeah, I know what you did last summer. It was a movie. It was actually very much a product of its time, but hasn't aged all that well. Still fun, though. Anyway, agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.